Happy Halloween, everybody! What's up? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, October 31st, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside King of Halloween at Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Happy Halloween, Greg.
Happy Halloween to you, Bless. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Do you have any plans for Halloween?
We have a huge spooky day here at the office with spooky stuff happening from the stream, and then of course we're going out trick or treating with Benjamin tonight.
Oh, did he go last year? Or is
He
this like
went
the first time he's old
last year. He went last year, but I use it lightly. Like he was in his wagon and we dragged him around and like held his hand and he walked up. He did one trick or treat, got a Butterfinger. It was his first piece of candy. His eyes lit up. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
But then he just rolled around the neighborhood with us, enjoying the sights and sounds and costumes and stuff.
I don't know how I feel about Butterfinger being the first one. I feel like we can aim higher for.
You know what it
piece
is?
of
It's luck
candy.
of the draw. When he went up there and trick or treated, that's what they had in the bucket. That's what
I
he
feel
got.
like if Butterfinger was my first piece of candy
Like,
I
I'm
ever
good.
had, I'd never have candy again. I'm like, why is this all stuck to my gums? I hate this.
My teeth. These are brand new teeth, and they're impacted with this peanut butter
right now?
Yeah,
Take me to a
exactly.
dentist.
So this is like, this is the one where we've been practicing, where he goes and knocks on stuff and says trick or treat. He's got his own little light up trick or treat bucket. Today we put on the costume, you know what I mean? This morning right away, when he saw. Well, I brought up Cole's costume to put it on him, and then that got him excited to put it on. So here
What's
comes.
Cole's costume?
He's also got a Ghostbuster
Thank you.
jumpsuit.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
of course,
thank
of
you.
course. Yeah.
I appreciate this because I meant to come dressed in like my Halloween sweater.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot it.
Yeah.
Like before I showered, I was like, oh, I got to make sure to do that. And then on my way out, I just completely forgot.
No.
But no.
You don't need it. You
Now
got
I'm
your
in costume.
blazer. You got your blazer. You're all set there. Did
So-
they send that to you for free?
They did. Yeah. Sent me two of these costumes for free. They're two of these
Crazy.
blazers for free.
Crazy.
Incredible.
It's
'cause I'm
outrageous.
king.
Who would think that they
They
would do
do.
that?
Things happen to me when I put this thing on. Let me tell you, I feel so.
You're
I
right,
feel
the
so
character?
royal.
You're right, the
yeah, I'm like,
character?
man. So, what is the limit for candy for Ben? Is it all right? We got this bucket of candy after going trick or treating. Go crazy, or is it like two pieces
for
a day?
2-year-old? No, I mean like when we brought home.
Are you eating the candy?
Yes.
Oh man,
100%. When we brought home, the first batch of Halloween candy, you go to Target and you get the candy and you bring it. Mom and I ate all of that. I think he had none of it. And then I think when we brought him the second bag, he was cognizant of it and he tried one. And then it was like, you can only have one a day at night or whatever. And then he forgot about it. And we've never reminded him. Because like my son's very interesting, very weird like his father, where when he goes to the baby birthday parties, when he goes and hangs out with the babies and there's an event happening, right? And they all bring in pizza. We have all these photos of all the other babies with a big old slice of pizza and Ben sitting there eating broccoli. Like Ben,
Good for him.
He is not pizza, not his shtick. And like for a long time, cake wasn't either. Like we have warmed up to cake, but I still don't like. He's still not stoked for cake. Yesterday he had a cupcake at Greta's birthday party because all the kids are born right around now. You know what I mean? And he was too, right?
Yeah.
So you dial it back 9 months. New Year's Eve, everybody was
Valentine's Day.
fucking.
Yeah.
Everybody was fucking. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, he's warming up to cake. Like today, Jen tried to give him a piece of bread with Nutella on it. Didn't want it. None of that.
Really?
No, thank you. Yeah.
I get it though. I kind of relate because I was the kid that I did not love frosting.
Yeah.
And so cakes were a thing where I'm like, I'm gonna scrape this off anyway, and now I
Yeah.
just have this piece of bread that I'm eating, so I'm good on that. And then,
Sugar bread, yeah.
yeah, and then same
Yeah.
with cupcakes too, where like whenever it was somebody's birthday in elementary school, their parents would bring cupcakes and pass them on to the class.
Yeah.
And I'll look at it, I'm like, I don't want this thing. Like I'll do the same thing where I'll scrape the icing off, and all I'm left again is this like piece of sugar bread that I'm eating.
Look at this weird pig farmer hanging out with Addison.
Yeah. The pig farming came later. That was
I
my
know.
That was my teenage
I
years.
just like to merge all your stories into one. I'm aware they came later.
yeah.
What are your Halloween plans? Anything?
Tonight, no, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna chill out, play some Alan Wake 2. Played quite a bit of that last night.
Yeah.
Got to a level that was pretty cool.
Okay.
The Alan Wake stuff, I think I might be liking the Alan Wake stuff more than the Saga stuff.
Yeah.
For where I'm at in the story, it's just fucking trippy and weird.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
can do really cool things with it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that was one of the things that, after I went, I gravitated towards Alice because I wanted that true detective story. And then
Saga?
when I got, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Alice.
Oh, his
Yeah.
wife. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Heartbreaker. Will they ever meet again? Who knows?
Who knows?
When I jumped back to Alan, though, and it was like, oh, man, this is a nightmare dream state. Everything that worked really well after having, 12 hours of hyperrealism.
Yeah. And that's my thing is like, I feel like they complement each other so well going back and forth in the way
Yeah.
that I'm playing it, where I get.
Are you still doing that? Are you doing the one chapter and the one chapter?
I'm trying to, yeah. Like sometimes I get done with the chapter and I'm like, oh, I really want to know what happens next though. Like
Yeah.
I really want to see what happens right after this, but I'm trying to like, practice restraint so I can kind of get both sides of the story at the same time because
Yeah.
it feels paced very well to do that. Where it is, all right, here's weird trippy shit. All right, now back to realism, back to detective story. All right,
Yeah.
now back to like I like the puzzles that they've set up for the Alan Wake chapters where it is very much environmental, trying to figure out how the story plays into what they want you to like affect in the space that you're in.
Yeah.
I just find that stuff really fascinating and really cool, and so I'm enjoying that stuff a lot.
Have you gotten to parts where they're like dovetailing nicely, where you're doing something in one that affects the other?
No, not really, not yet.
That was something I found interesting about playing Alan stuff after I had basically completed Saga stuff. It's like, oh, that's why that was there. Oh, okay, kind of things like
interesting.
What Alan's doing that is kind of affecting her world, and vice versa. But you wouldn't know it the one way or the other. I digress, though. Let's talk about what's affecting our world, like layoffs at Bungie, updates at Remedy, and so much more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show for free at kindafunny.com/KFGD. Over there, you can leave us your questions, comments, concerns, everything under the video game sun. You can even squad up with other Kinda Funny best friends to play video games whenever you want to. Then, of course, watch us record the show live. Twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames, YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames and listening on podcast services around the globe.
It's such a good one shot.
Les and I had a bet that when we did the table, that's when the proton pack was going to fly off, but it survived thanks to the bingo set it's resting on and the Meet Your Maker Jenga set it's resting on.
I just love how everything's work because you have the proton pack, you have the what's the other thing called? This is not the PK meter.
Oh, that's a trap, ghost trap.
Oh, you have the ghost trap. That's what it is. And then you have like the skeleton peering up within the when it's out on the one shot, the top half of the skeleton, and you just have my Mortal Kombat water bottle just peering.
Mortal Kombat.
God, what a holiday this is.
What a holiday
God bless
this
Halloween.
is. You know what I mean? God bless Halloween, indeed. I did everything, right? Oh, and then Epic Game Store, of course. If you're going to get anything on the Epic Game Store, use your creator code KindaFunny. Of course, if you are on your PlayStation, your Switch, your Xbox, you're playing Fortnite, Rocket League, etc., you can also use the creator code KindaFunny when checking out any Epic Games. However, if you really want to support us, go to patreon.com/KindaFunny. Over on patreon.com/KindaFunny, you can get each and every episode of Games Daily ad-free. You can watch us record the podcast live as we record them. You can get those podcasts ad-free as an MP3 and video on demand whenever you want them. You can get nearly 400 exclusive episodes of shows like Kinda Feudy and Gregway only on patreon.com/KindaFunny. And of course, it helps us keep this business of 11 people functioning, going, having a great time. Housekeeping for you, like I hinted at, it is Halloween. We have a spooky double feature stream for you. Of course, at our usual stream time after Kinda Funny Games Daily, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, we're doing an Outlast Trials stream with the developer. That's right, Phil and JT from Red Barrels are going to be here in San Francisco, coming all the way down from Montreal to talk to us about their Halloween update that they've made for this. Of course, Outlast Trials will be playing it, having fun. It's going to be me and Mike playing with them, so I am sure we will be scared, and they will know what's happening, and they will be... This might be my chance to see the end of an Outlast Trials level. Because I feel like every time I've gone in there and played with the Brony Boys, we just die. So this is my chance to see what's going on and see the Halloween stuff. Very excited for it. Very excited to support them. They're supporting us. It's a sponsored stream. But yeah, it'll be fun to play with the devs. We're going to do a really cool thing, I think, personally. You know how much I like talking to developers. It's kind of my favorite part of the job. Well, playing the games is my favorite part of the job. Second favorite, learning how games are made. We're playing the game, then we're coming in here to do like a little 20-minute just talk about what we've done so far and where Outlast has come from, and then go back to play more game. So it's going to be a different kind of stream, but 2 hours of fun and scary stuff and having a good time. And then later tonight, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Today is the day. We're hosting the Silent Hill Ascension live premiere pre-show. We're going to talk to the Genvid team behind the interactive streaming series, find out how you'll shape the canon of Silent Hill, and count down the seconds until you can experience the terror. Of course, you can go to the App Store right now or the App Store, Google Play, or Ascension.com, get registered, download it, and be all set to go and jump into this one. Very interested in this one. I did the Comic-Con panel for this one. I'm excited to see people finally learn what this is. Of course, this is like Until Dawn. It is like Telltale, but the gameplay isn't there. It's you watching every day this evolving story and then making decisions and doing your whole thing and voting on what you think should happen. Should be interesting. And it turns out like everyone on the development staff is from like ex-Telltale. So like I do all these interviews with all of them. Spoilers, since the game's out today, they wanted to be there to launch the game, so I do all the interviews with the people who made the thing. Mike and Tim will be here hosting live and talking to you, the chat, and they all are like, oh yeah, I used to work at Telltale. I used to work at Telltale. I'm like, damn, fuck, this is rad. Okay, and they own it. They're all like, this is why we're doing this, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's see it. That starts at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames, YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames, YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames later. Bam. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Jedi Master Deadpool, Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 8 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, we will follow up with where we kind of ended the show yesterday with sad news, bad news, and then what's happened overnight. Number 1, Bungie hit with layoffs as Destiny 2, The Final Shape, and Marathon are reportedly delayed. We'll go to IGN.com where Ryan Dinsdale reports. Destiny 2 developer Bungie has reportedly been affected by layoffs, becoming the latest in a long line of video game studios to undergo downsizing in 2023. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier said on X/Twitter that staff at the PlayStation Studios developer were informed of the layoffs today, October 30th. The number of people affected by the downsizing is unclear, though Bungie CEO Pete Parsons reportedly emailed staff yesterday morning to notify them of a meeting where they would be told more. Parsons took to X/Twitter to share some thoughts on the layoffs. Quote, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have all made a significant impact in our studio," Parsons wrote. What these exceptional individuals have contributed to our games and Bungie culture has been enormous and will continue to be part of Bungie long into the future. These are truly talented people. If you have openings, I would highly recommend each and every one of them," end quote. In addition to the layoffs, Bloomberg has reported that Destiny 2's The Final Shape DLC has been delayed from February 2024 to June 2024, and that Marathon has slipped to 2025. Now, we knew most of that yesterday as it was breaking, couldn't really discuss it, right? Then, today, right before we went live, right? Yeah, 9:51 a.m. If you're watching later, that's about 20 minutes ago. The only, Paul Tassi from Forbes tweeted this out. New info about Bungie layoffs per source. And then it's 3 bullet points. The layoff decisions came directly from Bungie management, not Sony. This is not about Sony replacing Bungie employees with their own people. Next bullet point. Many employee benefits, though not health insurance, only last until the end of the month if you're let go. Laying people off on the 30th means a single additional day of coverage. Though not healthcare, again, point that out. And then the final one here. Many people had unvested shares as a result of the Sony purchase. These shares would be received based on staying with the company for a certain number of years following the sale. But those shares revert to Bungie if you leave, even if you're fired, which is what's happening now to many of those affected. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's so upsetting, right? Like,
fuck you.
Like, cool. Well, at least I'm gonna have shares in Sony, right? And then you get let go early enough to where it's like, all right, well, fuck. Like, that's
fuck
rude.
that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Many employees had unvested shares as a result of the Sony purchase. These shares would be received based on staying with the company for a certain number of years following the sale. But those shares revert to Bungie if you leave, even if you're fired, which is what's happening now to many of those affected.
When they say revert to Bungie, does that mean those shares are now you're getting Bungie shares, or Bungie owns those shares?
No, Bungie owns those shares.
That's so fucked.
That's very
That's
fucked up.
so fucked. Oh, that's insane. That's wild.
I'm stupid, as everybody knows. What are many employee benefits? Not healthcare. Only lasts until the end of the month if you're let go. Laying people off on the 30th means additional. What other employee benefits? I guess like your Metro Pass or like.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Dental's
maybe?
health though, isn't it? Doesn't that count? Eyes
it's
health,
technically
isn't it?
it's technically a separate thing.
Yeah,
right?
I think dental is technically.
It is.
It might be state by state. I have no idea, but yeah, like I think a lot.
Not that I'm saying it's any less fucked up. I'm just like I don't remember.
Yeah. But either way, like there's so much to dig into with this, right? Like, I mean, we've talked about this what feels like 100 times in the last couple of months, as we've seen so many other game studios and publishers and companies have layoffs and all this stuff, right? Like, of course, our heart goes with the developers that are losing their jobs. It was tough to see even yesterday as people were tweeting out like, oh man, like I'm going in a meeting, let's see what this is. And a couple hours later, it's okay, well, I don't have a job. Like now I got a bunch of stuff to figure out, right? And people were digging up tweets from when Bungie first got acquired by PlayStation.
Yeah.
And there was the tweet, who I think was from Parsons, the CEO, that was like, there would not be layoffs as a result of this acquisition. And then you fast forward to now.
Yeah, I gave a retweet. It was, I think, from on my end, it was Ethan Gotch, maybe from Kotaku, who had done like the 1.5 years later.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is actually what happened.
So like, there's a lot to dig into here, right? Like the update from Paul Tassi talking about the layoff came as a decision directly from Bungie management and not Sony. I think it's fascinating as it pertains to this conversation, right? Him talking about like this
Nathan
is not,
Grayson, sorry. I'll put into assets for you, Barrett.
this is not about Sony replacing Bungie employees with their own people. Yeah, like I mean, I guess the thing that surprised me about this as it was breaking was I view Destiny as one of the very successful games. One of the successful games or services, if not the prototypical successful games as a service game in our industry, right? Like people love Destiny. Destiny has a player base. Destiny has had continual, consistent updates for the last however long, right? Like since Destiny 2 came out, right? And even before Destiny 2 was Destiny 1. Destiny has the fan base that supports it. Destiny has a strong studio that supports it with quality content, right? It's not like every expansion for Destiny is a hit. I know this last one, I saw people who loved it. I saw people who didn't love it so much, right? And like that stuff is going to happen. That's going to happen with any game studio.
No matter what you put out, right?
Yeah.
Some people will love it, some people hate it.
I don't understand how we get to a place, and now this is even extending out of Bungie. I don't understand how we get to a place in this industry where you look at this year, 2023, and this year is profitable. This year we're making the games industry is making so much money. You're seeing so many successful games. You're seeing PlayStations sell like crazy, right? One of the best years for selling consoles, or at least one of the best couple of years of selling consoles in this industry. And all of this money is coming in, and
I mean, you're leaving off, of course,
that
we finally close out a $69 billion acquisition.
Yeah,
right, as Xbox acquires
like the biggest acquisition in the video games industry, if not in entertainment, like one of the biggest in entertainment, period.
And then the number I saw floating around yesterday was 6,000, right? That's how many layoffs, how many jobs have disappeared in this year.
I don't understand how that stuff, how A leads to B, right? Where we're seeing all the success, and then we're seeing all these people let go who are workers, developers, people working in publishing, PR, all this stuff, right? People who aren't at the top. Wow. That's the thing that confuses me.
It's because of the people at the top, right? Mm-hmm. There's a bottleneck on funds here. There is this, I mean, like, I'm not trying to I am banging a drum. It's all fuck. The system's broken, right? Where it is like all these CEOs at the top of it getting this giant, not a golden parachute. Hey, here's bonus. Your exactly bonus based on what you sold. Here's what's going on. And we see the numbers thrown around for Bobby Kotick all the time, and and like not just Bobby. It goes on, and there's that list was going around yesterday in terms of what was happening. That's the problem, right? Is that again, like I feel, and I every time this comes up, and I know I'm a broken record. We've talked about this so many times, right? Like it's just like. You've lost the value of the person, I feel. That's the thing. When you get into these big, and not everybody, I'm not trying to paint a broad brush that every developer, every, giant, or not even giant, every developer has lost sight of people, right? But it is this idea that, it's like, oh, well, we don't want to take this cut, but we don't want to drop salaries, right? That would be outrageous if the CEOs or the whoever's in the corporate suite was going to drop the C-suite execs were going to go in and drop their salaries to do this. No. So it's you make these cuts, right? Where you move these things around and like, it's always so hard because from the outside looking in, right? Destiny has been the standard bearer for what a lot of games as a service is, right? And I think it is really the one that was part of it in terms of like, this is what everybody wants. This community that's going to come back to this game over and over, night after night, day after day, week after week, month after month, update after update. And that is really what I think lit the fuse on everyone running to this going, there's gold in those hills. Mm-hmm. And so for them to do it, and again, we're not inside of Bungie. This is, I do find it interesting that yesterday, of course, you had things like Nathan Grayson putting out the thing, narrator voice 1.5 years later. Bungie leadership assures employees Sony deal will not result in layoffs, restructuring, right? And then today the messaging has to be, well, it's not Sony's fault, it's Bungie's. So it's like, we can do a whole bunch of different things here where we can twirl mustaches, we can do this thing, we can think that everybody's a demon on the other side of the equation, right? And the realities of Bungie and their bottom line, and their books, what they're seeing in player retention, what they're seeing in people buying, like there can be a reality where Bungie is literally looking at this going like, Lightfall did not do what we wanted it to do. We are worried. We need to do something to protect the future of the company, and that sucks, and we have to lose this thing. Mm-hmm. But the problem is when it's happening on such a giant scale in the industry, when it's 6,000 people, you can only see it at some point as corporate greed. You can only see this as like, so like, what did the benefit of PlayStation give you? You got bought by PlayStation, right? Like, So someone got a bunch of money at the top for this thing, for this acquisition, whoever owns Bungie, right? So now they're there. I thought the whole point of these acquisitions was that you're getting bought by a company. And this is something I'm always saying, but it's because I've heard it from other people, that then you don't have to worry about these kind of decisions and what's going on.
Yeah.
Like again, like I still wish we had real numbers from this. That's the one thing that I still find shocking to a degree, that we haven't heard that it is this percent, it is this amount. You know what I mean? Like when Media Molecule had those layoffs, we immediately knew what the percentage was. I should be able to just throw a dart at the board to grab it. There was another one recently that was like,
it was like
epic. It was epic
yeah.
when it was like 25% or whatever, and they got rid of a thing, and then they sold off Bandcamp and yada yada yada. Like, I'm surprised that information isn't publicly available right now in terms of this Bungie thing.
For me, it is hard not to see it as mustache twirly, right? Of like the people at the top not caring, mismanaging, right? Like I go back to
see, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I think right there is a big difference of, hey, I want to protect as much money for me as possible.
Yeah.
I don't care about the people. And then there's the other side of like, whoa, I'm just a guy and I'm running a company now and I'm with other people and we thought we were going to do it. And that's they're both bad. And it's the same thing I've said a million times on this, right? Of like, God forbid, knock on wood, never. Kind of funny may one day have to lay somebody off or change the whatever, but it will never be that we were like, the good times are going to roll forever. Fucking build a new studio across the street. It's great. Like, if something went horribly wrong, we'd be fucked. But
But I think to that point, right? Like, I still look at the people at the people at the top and go, "This is your fault," right?
Sure.
Like,
that's totally fair. That's a totally fair.
You know, I read the statement from, what was it, Pete Parsons? The statement from Parsons where he says, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who've all made a significant impact on our studio." And I'm like, it's a sad day because of you. Right, like this all falls on your shoulders, right? You come out and talk about where was it? These are truly talented people. If you have openings, I would highly recommend each and every one of them. It's like
I would. That would be a slap in the face. If I had just been laid off, and I would respond like "fuck you, Pete."
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like,
and like I think for me, I look at this, and not that these are like the same thing, right? But I do lump it into the same of. Why are we seeing so many layoffs in an industry that appears to be thriving on the outside looking in, right? But you get on the inside, it's like everybody's losing their jobs. I look at the Embracer thing, and it's, hey, we had a deal with Saudi Arabia that fell through, and so now layoffs at Crystal Dynamics, Volition's getting shut down, layoffs across all these different things, right? We're seeing, and like I know the Bungie thing again says it's not PlayStation, but PlayStation's been seeing a lot of layoffs recently as well, right? 100%. You talk about Media Molecule,
Arts just saw a bunch of
Visual Arts Group, right? Like it feels like this is becoming a regular story for these big corporations, these big entities that see their bottom line. Either it is the thing of people are getting more expensive to hire or pay, or it's the thing of video games aren't making as much as we thought they were going to make, even though they're making more money than ever before. And they go, shit, we got to get this money up. Peace out to a certain percentage of our workforce, right? Yeah. Or it's the epic thing of, hey, we have these things that we want to do with the metaverse. We have these things that, these ideas that we had where we acquired Bandcamp because they were a fit, but now we realize we made a wrong decision, and so buy Bandcamp and buy to a certain percentage of our workforce because we want to invest in a thing that is either speculative or a thing that, we see as the future, but to get to that future, we have to screw over a lot of people that we have working for us because we had a plan to do one thing and that thing changed. I'm not here saying that I have all the answers to like capitalism and how to like run a business and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm just a podcaster, but like, for me, when I look at all this, I go, okay, something is very wrong. And I don't know what has to change in our industry, whether it is like, I don't know, whether it is people having to unionize, which I think might be the number one thing, like protect yourself as a worker, or people having to get really mad and like really loud about CEOs and higher ups and go, what the fuck are you doing? And name them by name and go, hey, like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Be better. Like, I do not know the next step outside of that, right? Like, how do we fix all this shit?
I think honestly, our outrage only goes so far.
Yeah.
Yesterday I saw so many tweets and so many things, and like, Paris had a really eloquent tweet about like, we can no longer say this is the best year in gaming, like without ignoring the fact of how rough it's been and how many jobs have been lost and all these things. I saw so many people quote tweeting Jeff Keighley yesterday, who in the morning tweeted about Game Awards or whatever, and then it was the quote tweet of like, you have to talk about this on stage, you have to bring this up. And I think part of that conversation is the idea of trying to make the mainstream understand this. Again, like we like to think, because we are the people who are the hardcore, listening to podcasts, watching videos, caring about games each and every day, the way people care about sports teams or the actual news and horrible things happening in the world. I think when you take a bigger picture, like how many people who are playing Spider-Man 2 right now have no fucking idea who Insomniac is? They just think PlayStation made the game, right? They don't understand that the human being and the human exertion behind it, right? And so I really do think it has to become internal, and I really do think unionization is a needed step here to protect people and make this make sense for people and to make this be a viable career for people. Because this is the thing, we talked about it yesterday on the show. Again, this all started live. It was our 0.5 story instead of our number 1 story, right? And it was Leanna talking about, hey, like a dirty effing hippie, saying, hey, I am one of the people who got laid off, and my partner, I believe, got laid off earlier this year, and now I'm worried about the house, and what are we gonna? And like that's the realities of this happening, right? And then I saw so many great tweets of people talking about like, actually, I guess this might even been a tweets in response to Jason Schreier's earlier this week tweets, maybe last week tweet about like work from home works. Why are we fucking with this? Like so many people are making the greatest games of all time this year, and they all start at home. So why are you forcing people to come somewhere? Let alone right now, so many people who are doing this, right? And I'm not pointing fingers. And this is actually, I won't do it. I was going to name a studio, but I'm not actually sure. But you think of these startup studios that are the ones that are like, we have a AAA team. We're starting this thing. We all left the big things. We're doing our own thing. We're making our own game. And those games come out and they underdeliver. And what about the people who moved out to be a part of that or had to?
Yeah.
And like it could be a bigger thing that you moved to Seattle to be part of Bungie, and then this is. And again, I am a little bit out on the dive or the walking the plank here. I'm not 100% sure what work from home policies are, but generally, right? How can you ever think about tearing up your life and moving somewhere when it could be that the job is gone because the company changes its direction in 6 months, or you ship the product and then you're immediately cut out of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas unionization at least would give you the chance of collective bargaining and doing these things. Like, I don't know the answer either. I am also just a podcaster. My thought when you look at this again from the outside, but just reading tea leaves, right? The problems it would really seem come down when you talk about these layoffs with the big studios and the big conglomerates and your PlayStations, your Embracer Groups and this, right? And then just again, giant studios. And I'm not saying that indies have the right idea. I'm not saying that indies have it all figured out. We know how hard it is to make an indie game and keep those things in front. What I'm saying though is that an indie team for the most part seems like they are, hey, I wear a lot of hats and I do a lot of things, which means that even when I'm not in pre-production, if that was my main duties, or post-production, or, the actual throes of making the game, that lets me stick around. I've talked so many times in these layoffs conversations about how it used to be in IGN 2008, 9, 10, that area where it was, the teams would brag about ramping up in their size to put the game out. The game goes gold. They put everybody out. They lay off all their contractors, right? Like, there's a ebb and flow to it there that sucks, but is because in my, in what I know limited about making a video game is the idea of, well, when you're doing pre-production and you're people are on a whiteboard pitching the idea and somebody's making something really rough in Maya, you don't need that team that is the ones who are polishing, gameplay testing, doing the thing, making the, there's so many things you have to do before you can actually put the cart on the horse. You have to build the horse. You have to give birth to the horse and get it to go. And so I would imagine that's where a lot of this comes down to is that, and I mean, not specifically Bungie, maybe in terms of like, hey, this is a games as a service. It's always making stuff. But in that, so it's like, is the answer more nimble, smaller studios? Is the answer smaller games? We always talk about this, right? Of like, does every game need to be 75 hours open world with a million checklists and da-da-da? Because again, you can go and do and build that thing, but when that game ends, if you haven't already gotten through pre-production on the next project, if we're looking at Naughty Dog that had layoffs, right? If the project gets canceled, or at least scoped down to figure out where the fucking fun is in Last of Us Factions 2, what happens to those people? And that's the struggle here of like, I feel like the solution is unionization, right? In terms of figuring that out. If that's never going to happen, because again, I think the call has to come from inside the house. The developers have to say that, and I'm not putting this on the workers. Don't get me wrong, don't misquote me. But there were so many cries yesterday of like, from developers, people who make your video games, saying like, how could we ever talk to anybody and say they should come work here when it's like this? It's like, right now you got to do the thing of like, you're planting trees you'll never climb. Like, you got to start fostering what the next generation is going to do here and figure it out. And so I do wonder of like, and I'm completely out of my wheelhouse here, but like when you look at something like Nix's, right? You remember them?
Yeah.
Or like anybody who's doing work for hire, even Blue Point, right? Like, is that the solution to, hey, we're creating a studio and we are strictly a support studio?
Yeah, we're finding something that is, something that we do specifically that is going to hopefully make us untouchable in terms of our project getting canceled or us getting scoped down or whatever, because we are here to help and support other studios.
We are work for hire. You go and you make your game, and when you get to the point that you would usually go and hire 30 contractors to do X, Y, and Z, we come in, we do that, and when the project's over, we walk away and we move on to the next one. Like that. Now, you can get into a whole conversation of, well, that doesn't sound creatively fulfilling necessarily. And like, no, it doesn't. You're coming in and getting somebody to the finish line on it. You know what I mean? And like, I'm sure there's a push and pull to it. I don't know the solution. You don't know the solution. I don't know if there is hey, this is the solution, but clearly something's got to change.
Yeah.
It's not fair to treat people this way. It goes back to yesterday when this was all happening. Someone shared, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but they also shared, I think in Spanish, shared my Game Awards speech. And it's like, that is like at the crux of what that Game Awards speech was, right? Of like, how unfair this is to the people who make your games, right? And like, they don't get told thank you enough. And they don't get told you changed my life or made my day, or this is my, most important piece of media I've ever had. And so what they do get told is fucking hit the bricks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I've had friends who have been laid off, right? Like as part of all these gaming / tech layoffs that have been going on. And like, to some of them, they'll go into interviews and they have to ask the question of, hey, like, in what the industry looks like right now, how secure is this position, right? Like that's a question that you have to start asking in interviews if you want to work in.
But I mean, games. Again, like, they will blow smoke.
Yeah.
February 1st, 2022, Bungie leadership assures employees Sony will not result in layoffs.
Yeah. And so, like, it's hard to tell anybody, hey, come work in the games industry when this is what the landscape is, right? Like, hopefully, it's hard to hope this because we've seen this happen so many times. But like, hopefully this is like the current storm. Hopefully we're able to like get through it and then things start to get healthy again, right? But like, that's a hard thing to believe in when I've been listening to a video game podcast for close to probably over 10 years because I started listening to Beyond in 2012, 2013.
That was a good time for us.
It was a really good time. Last of Us is coming out. But like, and this has been a recurring story even since then. I remember listening to other podcasts too, them talking about layoffs, them talking about how unsustainable / unhealthy it is to work in the games industry, right? Like, it just seems like this is the industry that has a lot of growing up to do, and that feeds into the tech industry as well. That feeds into other industries. Like, it's not just the video games industry that has problems. Most industries, not every industry has problems, right? But yeah, like, it's been very ugly to see this in the last few months of this bubbling up, right? Let alone the last few years, let alone the last decade of this bubbling up. And so I hope things get better.
I do too, but I also think and wonder and worry, right? Like, again, the call's got to come from inside the house because I just don't think outside you'd notice. That's my concern.
Yeah,
is that I really do feel like the industry is so smart and so good at making games, and this year has been incredible for games, which is a number of different compounding issues, right? Of like COVID pipeline, moving things around, why we are hit after with game of the year. And then you look at next year and there's a lot of great games, but is it going to be like this? A Zelda, a Mario, a fucking Spider-Man, like this kind of conversation. And so it's like, I don't see us in 2 years being like, man, all the games suck this year, or man, all the games are mid this year, right? There's always going to be standouts that make us go, man, it's awesome. And what a great time to be a gamer, yada, yada, yada. And so I don't think, sadly, it's enough of these people get laid off and now the product suffers. Now the industry suffers. And now consumers are like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it's going to be that idea that like, hopefully so many of these people find another position and go work somewhere, start their own studios, It's like, the industry's so interesting in terms of recycling. You know what I mean? I would say the old way you'd call it would be incestuous, right? Of like, oh, well, somebody worked there, but now they work there. And that's not even fair, I don't think, especially with as much turnover as there is. I say recycling is a better term for it, of people going, taking what they learned somewhere and popping back up and going.
I mean, so to your point of like the Silent Hill Ascension people all being like, oh yeah, we were at Telltale.
Yeah, we were all Telltale and we wanted to make more stuff like that. And so we're doing this, which is a different project. And it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I wish it was easy. I wish it was so simple that you're like, well, okay, let's look at developer X. They are doing great and have never done something like that. What are they doing and how can you go out and look at it? But anytime I feel like it's a monkey paw. If I name anybody, guess what? They're going to be cursed.
Yeah, like the best studio right now, in 4 years, there's something that's like they're going to either release a messed up game or they're going to have layoffs or they're going to have a controversy or they're going to have something that happens, right? And like that's just the reality of what it is. And I think for me, right, if you're a worker in the games industry, you got to protect yourself, whether that is a unionization, whether that is having plan B, plan C's, all this stuff, right? Whether it is whatever you can do, like, having connections, networking, all that stuff. To your point of it has to come from inside the house. For all of us saying that, like, oh man, Bobby Kotick sucks. Got to get him out of here. Yada yada. Like Bobby
The next
Kotick,
CEO would come and suck too.
yeah, like Bobby Kotick is still there, right? Like Bobby Kotick doesn't look at his phone. He's not reading these comments in our YouTube videos, right? Like he does not give a fuck, right? And like that is not touching him. And so, as much as that is a bummer, yeah, like we got to support the people who work on our video games on the ground level, the people that are actually talented and doing the damn thing. Because if we're not supporting them, and also if they're not supporting each other and not supporting themselves at the same time, then we just end up without jobs, right? And like you end up with the people who worked on the cool Spidey suit you liked or worked on a cool mechanic that you fucking love in that game. All of a sudden, they can't work in the games industry anymore because they got laid off because somebody at the top needs to make more money.
Yeah,
and so it's a bummer.
It's a huge bummer. We have a question here from Laugh Tale about games as service and what this all means and yada, yada, yada. And I'd love to tackle that right after I tell you about how you should tackle patreon.com/kindafunny. Over on patreon.com/kindafunny, of course, you can get each and every episode of Games Daily ad-free. You can watch us record the podcast live as we record them ad-free and get them on demand later ad-free as a video and MP3. You can get 400 episodes of exclusive content all on patreon.com/kindafunny. But guess what, Jack? You're not there right now, so here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Do you ever feel like your brain is getting in its own way? I can't even count the amount of nights I lose sleep just because I can't stop thinking and my brain just won't stop talking. It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk through them. Therapy gives you a great place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. And it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge. You can make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny.
Laughtail writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can, to be part of the show, and says, hi, Kinda Funny. With another gaming company layoff, the trend of the best year, parentheses, video game releases, and worst year, parentheses, releases, as in people getting fired, of gaming continues. I will say the Bungie layoffs are surprising to me, considering how Destiny 2 is doing really well recently, except Lightfall Story and the $3.6 billion acquisition from Sony. Sony's games as a service plan heavily relied on Bungie. So does this mean acquisition has not helped their games as a service plan? Are the PlayStation GAAS rumors, Connie Booth left Sony, may be fired, PlayStation scaling back on the games as a service plan, etc., floating around the past week a reason for Bungie's layoffs? Was the games as a service plan too risky? And is it costing PlayStation Studios now?
So, I mean, this question was written in before the Paul Tassi update of like, oh man, this is more from Bungie thing. This didn't come from PlayStation. That said, right, like, I mean, I think it does have some ramifications on what the plan is for PlayStation's games as a service. Like, we didn't talk much about Marathon and Destiny 2 Final Shape being delayed. Marathon, did we even know that was coming in 2024?
I think the video ended with it.
Did it come in 2024? Because like I did
triple check.
Yeah, triple check because I didn't
double check, five check.
I always like put Concord. I think Concord was the one that definitely had 2024 in it.
Sure.
And so I wasn't even thinking about Marathon possibly coming out next year. So already that's like interesting. So what is PlayStation doing next year as a whole? Because we speculate Wolverine, but like they've not said Wolverine's coming next year. That's just the thing we've purely speculated about. Yeah. Death Stranding 2 doesn't have a date, right? And so it's like, all right, was that supposed to be a big title? And now, are we just looking forward to Helldivers and Concord being the 2024 slate for PlayStation? Because that's a weak slate. Of course, you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is like a third party but exclusive.
Of course,
all that stuff. That's fascinating. But then also, yeah, like
really quick from the announcement trailer, if we're talking about the PlayStation showcase with all of these trailers of games as a service or whatever we're calling them.
Yeah.
There's nothing at the end of the Marathon trailer, so I think this was probably just an internal delay.
So I think internally it was delayed from 2024 to 2025. But yeah, like okay, so 2024 looks weird. Now, as we talk about the layoffs, all the stuff that's going on, yeah, like Bungie as your prized possession of games as a service for PlayStation / Sony. You know, like them being hit like this, I wonder what that does do to the other studios, and you're playing for the other studios to like put out these games as well, like do you start to get nervous and go, ooh, we need to scale back? Because Naughty Dog, Naughty the Last of Us factions with Naughty Dog seems to like not be doing as well as they hoped. And also,
let it go. It's dead. It's dead. I'm right.
I mean, you're right. That's probably dead. But also, I think PlayStation sees the reports. PlayStation sees the leaks, right? Like they know how people are talking about that, and I don't think that's a thing they want to continue to risk as they go. All right, I don't know. I'll pick a Ben. This is me, not even speculating.
Yeah.
This is me saying a studio. All right, Ben, you're gonna work on a games of service thing now. Oh man, it's not doing that great. Let's scale down. And now Jason Schreier has a report on that too, right? Like I think you start to get worried about the reputation of PlayStation, especially coming out of the last PlayStation showcase and how seeing how people felt about the slate overall. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the plan is to, or if the reaction has been, shit, we've been fucking up, and also we should scale down on this stuff because people are not liking our direction with this games as a service stuff.
Yeah, I've said this since the announcement, right? We were very harsh on that PlayStation showcase, and since the news of this is really what we wanted, well, I think we've been very much in the camp of like, well, we'll wait and see, but this doesn't sound right. And they had a terrible first impression of coming out and explaining all that stuff. And again, I've said this a million times, but to drive it back home, right? You can then sit there and go, okay, well, the bodies that are on the road behind us of Rumbleverse, right? I mean, Knockout City, Bungie's losing people now, and all these different things, factions or whatever, right? Like, it's hard, ask Crystal Dynamics, to make a games as service no matter what IP you have attached to it, let alone spin one up from the ground floor, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a incredibly bullish thing, and I think it's also incredibly reactionary. I think it was a trend that everybody chased again after the success of Destiny, after the success of Fortnite. Everybody wanted that for their own, and so few have been able to find it. And so for PlayStation this late in the game to say, we're going to do that, we're going to chase that, we want that, that's the future, that's a huge fucking mountain to climb. And I think maybe it was PlayStation hubris to say that they could do it and they blah, 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 blah. But you look here and it's like, yeah, to your point, like Bungie was the gold standard of this. And so for them to lay people off, and again, we don't know what's going on over there, exactly why, which again is super weird that they haven't said.
Yeah.
I think you could put out a statement, instead of doing the, man, aw shucks, I'm Mr. Parsons and this fucking sucks that we had to lose a bunch of people today. Mm-hmm. It did. Why not also say, hey, here's the realities of this situation.
Yeah.
We did this because Lightfall did not find success and we saw a player drop off. And so now we're doing this thing, but we're so far removed from doing, like, give them something so you don't seem like an empty suit saying this, Parsons, right? Mm. Anyways, there's a whole bunch going into this that none of this inspires confidence in PlayStation's plan for games as a service. And then what it does to me is you're chasing a trend, which was them chasing the Wii when they put out fucking PlayStation Move and abandoned it. You know what I mean? Like, what is to inspire the confidence that this is going to be, okay, cool, we're committed to this. They put out PlayStation Vita and abandoned it, right?
I mean,
I don't know what you want to say about VR. There's an argument to be made for me personally that they put out PlayStation VR 2 and abandoned it.
The tough thing, and this is going to be, it's going to be a challenge navigating, is that these studios are already working on these games, right? Fair Games is already...
Will we see Fair Games?
Like, these games are already in the works. These are many teams that are spun up to work on these games. I think we have to see Fair Games to some extent because, like, that's what that studio was made for. It's not like it's a side project. It's not like they're Naughty Dog, right? And it's like, okay,
it's one of those things right now. It's like crazy to sit here and say this when you're talking about PlayStation and PlayStation 5 and the success they found, and PlayStation Studios, the success they found. I'm sitting here and it's like, I can easily see a future where we are on this stage reading about, hey, Haven Studios is closing. Fair Games.
Well, and that's the thing is, I think that's the only other option is that Haven is closing. And as PlayStation, like, do you do that and then go, who's making Concord? Fire one of those Fire Studios.
It's Halo Drink Sprite, so it's Walk. Firewalk Studios.
Okay, and Firewalk. Oh man, Firewalk. How many other projects do they work on? / do they work on other projects? Because if Concord is the only project that Firewalk's working on, then it's like, all right, cool. Then what are we doing at Firewalk as well? And then you turn over to Marathon, and it's like, okay, well, if we're not doing Marathon, or if we spin that down, what do we do? Like, not that like the Bungie's still going to work on Destiny, all that stuff, but does that end up in layoffs as well? I think then you're causing this negative storm of, hey, if we cancel / de-escalate all these projects, we're screwing all these studios that are already working on them.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the question to be asked and figure out where it goes from here and what it actually is and how committed is PlayStation to this.
Yeah,
are they that committed to it? And again, because with every one of these projects, any video game, anything you do, there comes a point of no return where it is, all right, well, the industry's changed. This isn't going to do what we thought it was going to do, but we've invested this much into it. We can get this much out of it. Just put it out. Just do the thing. Finish it and put it out. It doesn't matter. And then we'll close the studio. Then we'll lay off people. Then we'll do this thing. But right now, you can still kill things in their crib, depending on how far along Fair Games is, depending on how far along Concord is. And again, this isn't us saying those things necessarily suck. It's us just saying, like, does PlayStation believe in this?
Yeah.
Do they believe in this enough to see what's happening in the industry right now and go, oh, no. No.
I mean, my thing
we
is
still got it.
My thing is you've already invested in it, right? Like, you've already put in the money. Like, I think it's like PSVR 2 to some extent, where you've gotten so far with it, you might as well just put it out, right? Because canceling it and like getting rid of all this shit, right, is only going to cost you probably way more money than if you put it out and see it through. I think Fair Games and things like Marathon and Concord, those games being, well, Concord being a 2024 thing, right? And Marathon possibly being a 2025 thing, right? I think you're far enough along and you've invested so much in spinning up these studios that you kind of have to see it through. What happens after is what happens after. But I think it'd be tough for me to imagine the scenario where you cancel a bunch of these things and go, okay, it's not worth it, and then fucking get rid of all these studios, because I think that's more money. I think that's more, like, I think you're throwing away even the shot to see if like maybe one of these hits. Me and you are like, these aren't going to hit.
Yeah, exactly,
but I think PlayStation's like,
right.
well, we're already far enough. Might as well see it.
We'll have to wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. Over there was I feel like there's been a lot of great chats I want to call out and yell at people. Not yell, but like have a lively little debate for. One was like, it went through and it was like, man, how did it's crazy that Skull and Bones hasn't been canceled or laid off, right? That's a great example of, hey, there's all this money invested in, and they have a fucking deal with the government. Yeah, Singapore. They put money into the game, so they can't cancel it because they're on the hook for the government, right? Like that's why that continues to limp on. Yeah, like there's things like that of why it is. We'll wait and see, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll wait and see.
Believe it or not, it's 48 minutes into the show.
We have done 7 new stories left.
7 more stories to go, so let's go. Number 2 on the Roper Report, Max Payne 1 and 2 Remake, now ready for production, Remedy says. This is Wesley Yinpool at IGN.com. Remedy has issued an update on all its in-development games while stressing it's too early to comment on sales of the recently released Alan Wake 2. First up is an update for the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, which Remedy said in a financial report had, quote, progressed into the production readiness stage. Quote, we have gained clarity on the style and scope of the game, and we have an exceptionally well-organized team working on it. With these accomplishments, we are excited about the project and its future success, the studio added. Remedy is working with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption company Rockstar under a new publishing agreement to remake the first 2 Max Payne games for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Remedy is handling development while Rockstar is financing the project. The Max Payne remakes will also be developed on Remedy's Northlight game engine, the same engine used to develop Control, and Alan Wake 2 is going to look fucking sick as hell.
Incredible.
It's going to look fucking sick as hell. The original Max Payne games were also a result of a partnership between Remedy and Rockstar, with Remedy handling development and Rockstar Games publishing. Rockstar also handled the development of Max Payne 3. Control 2, meanwhile, continues in the proof of concept stage. Quote, the plans for this sequel are ambitious, and we have seen good progress both in the designs and in the game build, Remedy explained. We will continue at this stage for the next few quarters. We focus on proving the identified key elements before moving on to the next stage and scaling up the team, end quote. Condor is a 4-player co-op spin-off of Control to be co-published with 505 Games. This has progressed from the proof of concept stage to the production readiness stage, Remedy said. Quote, we have acquired valuable insights into developing service-based games and are now in a better position to create a game players can engage with for years, end quote. And finally, codenamed Vanguard, Remedy is defining, quote unquote, the next stages of the project with its publisher Tencent. Quote, at the same time, the project is aiming towards completing the proof of concept stage by the end of the year. Vanguard is a free-to-play cooperative PvE shooter that combines Remedy's narrative expertise and action gameplay into an immersive multiplayer experience. The Remedy boss CEO said all 4 projects, none of which have release windows, will benefit from staff moving on from Alan Wake 2. And now again, in all the conversations we've just had about layoffs and how does this happen and Remedy's a very interesting example. First off, of being very forthright. Here are all the projects we're doing, right? And then also trying to, and you know, for us in a very general sense, tell you where they are in the production pipeline. And then the most important thing I think that right from the CEO is now they will benefit from the staff finishing Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
This is what this is how games industry, and I know again, as soon as you name anybody, I set them up to fail, successfully run. Dovetail the project so they go on to the next thing and do the next thing. And I know firsthand from conversations how difficult that is, because you work on the next project is going to be Last of Us Factions Part 2. Oh shit, it's not. Now we have all these people. Now we lay them off, and that fucking sucks. But
See, it's funny because as I was putting this new story to the doc, I had to like open up my Slack message to myself and type in some bullet points because like I have a lot of questions / like talking points with this story in particular. So coming off of what you just said, right, of like successfully running a company, are they expanding too rapidly? Like your Remedy, right, who you've been known for doing Control, you did Alan Wake before that, right? You have Alan Wake 2 that is out right now and is critically successful. You have 4 projects and like 2 of them are multiplayer things. One of them is a free to play. Like you have the sequel to Control, and you have 2 remakes, Max Payne 1 and 2, that you're publishing under like you're grabbing from Rockstar and having them publish it and do all that stuff. Is this not too much?
Well, it's a great question. I would answer a couple different ways. Who knows is the first one. I'm not a soothsayer, sadly. I can't tell you what's going to happen to Remedy in the future, right? The reasons I think this is good and not scary is, number one, we've known about these projects already.
Yeah.
So they've already been announced. They've already been working on them. They've already been doing it, right? Number two, as you read through it, the thing you see over and over again is, hey, we are teaming up with Rockstar, 505 Games, Tencent. Someone else is paying the bills. Back to our point, none of this is hinging on, we are working on 4 games all by ourselves and looking for publishers, and if any of them go wrong, then you're in the Embracer Group situation of like, we had a deal that was supposed to happen last night and it didn't happen and now everything's fucked, right? Like these, you would assume and hope in a, in a perfect world, and maybe you give them too much credit, are, staffing up appropriately overall as Remedy, right? And again, to see people moving on and being recycled inside the studio are in this place of like, cool, whatever the agreements are with all these different publishers, we're getting paid in the right way that we can pay the staff that we have going on here, let alone with Alan Wake 2 and the success they found. And of course, Epic publishing that, right?
Yeah. So moving on to Alan Wake 2 success.
Sure.
We know it's a critical success. How much do you think Alan Wake 2 sells at the end of the day? Do you think it's going to be a breakout success hit of like a top 5 seller this year? Or like, where do you think that lands overall?
What I've said, and I will stand by, right, is that I think this is going to be their most successful game to date. I think it'll sell more than Control did. The thing that could hold it back, of course, is that its PC is only on Epic. And I know so many people want it on Steam. But I also know PC people are weak-willed and probably will finally download the Epic launcher if they haven't. Oh, another launcher, I don't want it. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? So I still feel like this is going to be the one that does numbers for them. More than Control. And like in terms of top 5 and shit like that, I'm terrible at that. I've never played the NPD game at IGN because I was always so bad at it. But I think this is going to sell. I think it's a perfect timing, great scores. I think it's going to be something special.
Yeah. My other thing too is talking about Max Payne 1 and 2. Does that end up doing, like, how does that end up doing relative to Alan Wake and Control, right? Like,
Interesting.
I look at Max Payne 1 and 2 and I'm fucking excited for those remakes because one, like, I like the first Max Payne on PS2, but then talking about they're using the same engine as Alan Wake 2 and Control, that alone gets me excited. But then also genre-wise, it's a third-person shooter where you're diving all over the place, right?
Bullet
it's like
time.
Bullet time. It's way more actiony. It's, for me, from what I played of Max Payne 2, or Max Payne 1, I'm sure they can make it fucking weird like Alan Wake and stuff, right? But like it's easier to digest than Alan Wake 2. As I play through Alan Wake 2, I'm like, man, y'all are making something very specific here that is hitting with a lot of people on the critical side, right? It's hitting with me as I play it. But like that's the one thing where I think about how it's going to sell widely. And I think the word of mouth is doing it such a favor because people are evangelizing it. People are talking about how great Alan Wake 2 is, right? And like at its core, the gameplay sense, it's just a survival horror game. And that's a genre that sells, right? That's a thing that people like. But when you get into like the content of it, it's so out there and so weird and so like, hinges on having some knowledge from Alan Wake 1, which came out a decade ago and all this stuff, right? That like, I could see that kind of holding it back in the sales stuff. Whereas remaking Max Payne 1 and 2 and having it be this, gritty detective third-person shooter bullet time like game that looks as good as Alan Wake 2, that for me is like, I think Control and Alan Wake 2 are both breakout hits. I think that's another breakout hit in terms of like, oh shit, like everybody's talking about.
You go back to that one where I think I'm old, as you know, and so Max Payne 1 in particular. Max Payne 2 I also adored, but those were so fucking cool back in the day. And I think enough of us have talked about those things, and even if you don't know Max Payne, when we talk about Control or now Alan Wake 2, and you're like, oh, well, Sam Lake did it, and he was the face of Max Payne. You know what I mean? Like these different things. I think when you take, if they don't fuck anything up, which I don't think they will, you take the Max Payne hard-boiled, no, they killed my kid, and now I'm out. They killed my kid and my wife, and now I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm this detective, and I'm drinking. Like a hard-boiled detective story, this where you're eating the scenery because it's just so over the top, that kind of movie. But then, like, think about how great Alan Wake 2 looks, and imagine fucking bullet time.
Like that sounds like a hit. Like that sounds like something that's gonna really be very successful. I'm very excited for that. Like that for me, when I read through all these projects, I'm like, as much as I'm looking forward to Control 2, because I'm very much looking forward to Control 2. I think I'm looking forward to Max Payne 1 and 2 more, just for what that is as a game and how like we don't really have many games like that. Like obviously we have third-person shooters and like cover-based shooters, but Max Payne was straight up, like the comic book cutscenes, like you diving all over the place now in the bullet time. I was playing El Paso Elsewhere, which is a game that y'all should check out if you like Max Payne or third-person shooters, which is a Max Payne-inspired supernatural shooter that's indie developed, and it's on PC. I think maybe it's on consoles as well. And playing through that was such a fun reminder of like, oh no, this gameplay is really good. Like it's really fun, and I think something like this could work easily in 2023. You know, you might have to tweak some things to make it like really modern, but I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Me neither, man. Yeah, that could be incredible. I just hope they nail it, which I have no doubt they wouldn't, but you never know.
You never know.
Number 3, speaking of nailing it or fucking it up, number 3, Robocop Rogue City review roundup is here. Right now it has a Metacritic of 69 and OpenCritic of 73.
Nice.
Thank you. Justin over at IGN.com gives it a 7 out of 10. Says, Robocop Rogue City is a pitch-perfect throwback to the action movies of the 80s. It's over-the-top violence with charm, largely well put together, but rough around the edges. Most importantly, it's a fun way to spend time in a beloved fictional universe that doesn't overstay its welcome. Blasting at goons as an unstoppable walking machine remains an extremely entertaining remains extremely entertaining as it seemed on the big screen, thanks in part to an impressive commitment to capturing the look and feel of the original film. Mixing in elements like routine police work and side quests does a great job changing the pace too. Even if it's not the best example of visual fidelity and prone to some bugs along the way, that love of Robocop shines through. This is a solid B movie of a video game, which is exactly what the source material demands. Rick Lane over at Eurogamer gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Taeon blends bloody linear shootouts with light open world action for an entertaining, if unadventurous, Robocop experience.
Hell yeah.
You in? You playing?
I really want to. Right now, I've been describing my PlayStation dashboard as like an E3 presentation, right? Like right now, my PlayStation dashboard looks like Summer Game Fest 2023, where it's just filled with a bunch of games that are coming out that, like, you know, I was looking forward to playing all these things, and now I look at it and I'm like, I can't touch any of these games. Like, I do not have time because I want to play through Alan Wake 2, but also, yeah, like Robocop's been sitting there for a week, and I'm like, man, I really want to boot up this game, but also I want to play UFC 5 at the same time.
There's too many things.
And so I jump into UFC 5, and I'm like...
We have a couple redacteds.
Yeah.
And it was last night, I sat down, you know, Alan Wake behind me, and I was like, I got to play some Robocop. I hadn't started it yet and jump back into that one. I'm happy to see people leaning into the B-moviness of it. That's what I said at my preview from SGF. That's what the Jabroni Boys said after they streamed it. Like, it seems good. The VGC gave it 4 out of 5 stars, right? I liked their synopsis. Robocop Rogue City feels outdated at its core, but this actually works in its favor. With no pretensions that it's offering something revolutionary. Oh, got an ad for Sephora. So the game focuses on delivering big, dumb action scenes interspersed with entertaining detective work. It has an engaging story and well-written dialogue, all wrapped in a package that shows clear love for the source material. You know, that was my thing last night. It starts the way it starts, which it turns out was the demo I did back at SGF. And so, like, I was like, okay, cool. And I was shooting people, throwing them through the glass windows of this high rise. They fall all the way out. And I was like, all right, yeah. And it wasn't until I got to the cop station where I started doing like the side missions where you're like walking by and they're like, these cops are making fun of this one cop who can't open her locker. And you're like, what's the problem? She just tears the door off and all these things fall. And I went and you go to the little complaint station and people walk up like, they're mad about my neighbors are mad about my dog. Can you come yell at my neighbors? What's going on? When I go and I call my dog, and like you fucking give the guy a ticket for naming his dog. Like I was like, shit, this is fun. And I started putting in my little points. I'm like, oh well, Robocop can dash if I upgrade him this way. I'm like, well, fuck. And it's like, I'm gonna come back to this big dumb game. That's all it needs to be. Number 4 on the Roper Report, Jusant reviews are out. Metacritic 86, OpenCritic 82.
Let's go.
Stephen Talby over at Push Square gave it a 7 out of 10 and says, despite 1 or 2 missteps, Jusant, and I hope I'm saying that right.
Just not.
Huh?
Just not.
Just not.
Yeah.
You're horrible. Hangs together thanks to well-realized, unique location, and more importantly, a fun and engaging way to interact with it. The climbing at its core is wonderfully tactile and finds a balance between complexity and accessibility. The spire of rock you're ascending is an interesting place to explore, gradually shifting into new environments as you ascend. We're not totally sold on the story, and the animation and camera can be clumsy every so often, but the game remains a solid, meditative adventure throughout. Tomas Franzi over at Digital Trends gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Jusant's creative take on climbing and a minimalistic approach to storytelling make it one of the boldest titles from Don't Nod so far.
I love seeing Don't Nod get a W.
Yeah.
Because, Life is Strange was so good, and it feels like
they've struggled since then.
Yeah, since then, they've kind of struggled to figure out, like, their identity and figure out what's the next hit from them.
Yeah.
I played about 30 minutes of Jusant, and it's one that I want to return to. It comes back to the thing of my PlayStation dashboard looking like Summer Game Fest 2023, where I've not been able to find the time. But as I started it, I was like, oh, this is giving me all the vibes I want. I think the word meditative is a good one from Stephen Talaby at Push Square, where it reminds me of playing an Eco or any of those kind of games. Like, what kind of game I'm talking about. And yeah, like those are the kind of games you play when you want to, relax, have like this, thoughtful, slow experience that is trying to get at your emotions and is trying to allow you to experience something fresh and new and different. I think Jusant brings a lot of that energy, and from like the bit of climbing that I did, like usually I'm somebody that climbing doesn't necessarily attract me as a gameplay mechanic. I play like a Assassin's Creed back in the day, or even Uncharted in the climbing moments. I was always like, I don't know how I feel about that.
One of your favorite games is Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, but Shadow Colossus is fucking sick as fuck, though. You're climbing giants. That makes it different. And I came around to, like, by Uncharted 4, I was like, okay, y'all mastered the climbing shit. But in this, I also liked it here, right? Where I think there's enough keeping it interesting in terms of, like, the rope and stuff that you're doing that keep it engaging and fun. And so, yeah, like, this is one that I want to get back to. And if this game seems like it's cool just from looking at the trailers and seeing gameplay and stuff, I think it's worth checking out.
Number 5, the Finals studio responds to backlash at its decision to use AI voice acting. What the fuck? This is Jordan Miller at IGN. God damn it. Embark Studios, the developer behind the new multiplayer FPS The Finals, has responded to the backlash following news that it uses AI for the game's voices. The Finals has enjoyed a strong opening on Steam, but some players have reacted negatively to the discovery the game mostly uses AI instead of real voice actors. The revelation was uncovered in a podcast with the game's audio designer, who claimed that, quote, with a few exceptions, the game uses artificial intelligence for the in-game vocal recordings. Embark has now confirmed that the game uses a combination of both AI and real actors, stating, quote, making games without actors isn't an end goal, end quote. We used a combination of recorded voice audio and audio generated via text-to-speech tools in our game, depending on the context, an Embark spokesperson told IGN. Sometimes recording real scenes where actors get together, allowing character chemistry and conflict to shape the outcome, is something that adds depth to our game worlds that technology can't emulate. Other times, especially when it relates to contextual in-game action callouts, TTS, that's text-to-speech, allows us to have tailored voice-over where we otherwise wouldn't. For example, due to speed of implementation.
Boo.
Boo!
Have you seen the clips of this? Barrett, I have one in the doc. If you can play maybe some seconds of it.
Kingfish! The jet setters, and finally, the powerhouses.
This is the text to speech.
And they are off.
And this is the announcer, right?
The team that tucks away enough
but
money
once you get into gameplay, it is the characters.
Let's see who's got the pace to ace this race.
Wait, this is all AI?
First elimination, Scotty. Talk about making a solid first impression on our sponsors.
Hold on to your Azult bucket hats, brought to you by Azult. If
at first you don't catch it, but then as you listen, you're like, oh.
Arena, only one contestant left for them. Alas, the Kingfish have been wiped out.
Looks like this was the one that got away from them.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Ouch, the Kingfish suffered a wipeout.
I guess the competition didn't have bigger fish to fry after all, Scotty.
Precisely what I had in mind.
You can probably stop it there.
The Kingfish are back. Team respond.
But at first it's like, oh, this is I didn't catch it either. In the first 10 seconds, I was waiting for the AI to happen, and then it settled in where I'm like, oh yeah, there is a lifelessness to these voices. That don't make it as good.
I hear it the most when he's announcing the teams at the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure. How can you fucking miss the point that badly? Right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, you're going to launch a game and be like, oh, there's a bunch of AI in it. And
while there are strikes happening.
And it's like, this is in open or early access, right? Yeah?
No? Open beta, I believe.
So, okay, maybe if you get called out on it, maybe then just be like, it's just for the beta. We're trying to get it out there and see what it is. We're going to get real voice actors in.
This would have been the perfect moment to lie. Oh, no, it's placeholder. It's placeholder.
Yeah.
We're getting people in there. We're gonna Hey, we got to figure out how to get some voice actors.
SG17 says using AI rather than spending a few $1,000s for some simple VO is indefensible. Let me tell you something. It would have been so much less than a few $1,000s. Mm-hmm. Voice actors get paid jack fucking shit. And again, to this point of like, oh, well, should we use AI? Let me Google. Oh, people fucking hate AI. Everyone's really freaked out about it. There's fucking strikes happening. It would have been so simple to reach out to mid-tier Twitch streamers. Andy, how much do you think Andy would cost to come in and do an hour of, man, the kingfish, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
$10 at most, you know.
How much? 7,500. Shit, fuck. He was more expensive than I thought.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, you know what? I think that's the price of Nick Scarpino's PC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes
He's
sense.
highballing. You can get him for less.
It's like, goddamn. Don't be fucking stupid, especially right now. Number 6 on the Roper Report. Deltarune will be released once.
Deltarune.
Oh, sorry.
It's very important.
It is. I know this is a game you guys care about. I'm not. Yeah. Deltarune will be released once Chapter 4 is done. Toby Fox confirms. This is Taylor Lyles at IGN. More than 2 years after the release of Deltarune Chapter 2, creator Toby Fox shared an update touching base on how development is going on the final 3 chapters, including an updated release plan that will make the game available for purchase once Chapter 4 is complete. In a blog post, Fox revealed that the development of Chapter 5 is taking longer than anticipated, with Chapter 3 nearly done and a significant portion of Chapter 4 already complete. Fox announced that the new plan is to release Chapter 3 and 4 together and make the game purchasable. This is a slight change from Fox's original plan, where he revealed in 2021 that he wanted to release Chapters 3, 4, and 5 concurrently. Quote, my original plan was to release Chapters 3, 4, and 5 together. However, the finish line of Chapter 5 is still pretty far off, and I don't think anybody really wants to wait that long to release anything, especially me. In an effort to speed up the process of Deltarune's development, Fox revealed he hired a new producer that will allow Fox to speed up the overall game development for future chapters.
So I'm happy about this, right? That means we're going to play more bits of the game sooner. I was talking to Bear about this morning that I don't really like how Deltarune is panned out in terms of the release structure of it. Like, I wish what he would have done would be to just release the first chapter of Deltarune as, hey, this is Deltarune, and then release chapter 2 as like, hey, here's Deltarune 2, and just treat it as separate entries of the game. Because now,
how long are the chapters?
I mean, they're like 5. They're like the same length as Undertale.
They're like the same length of one playthrough of Undertale.
Okay.
Yeah, and so for me, it's been the thing of, I feel like I am waiting over a decade for this game to like come out in its fullness, because the idea is that he's releasing these chapters, and by the time he's finished, it's gonna be like a 40-hour long video game, and it just feels like it's all disjointed. And now I'm waiting, and like Undertale came out in 2015, and also like it's the thing where when a new chapter of Deltarune releases, people aren't treating it like a full game, right? It's not being considered in like indie game of the year or game of the year, soundtrack of the year, and all these things, right? And I think if they felt like final things, I think the fear might be that, oh, but none of these are as good as Undertale. But I think the experience as a whole, by the time you get there, I could see that by the time you release Deltarune 6 or 7, people are like, wow, what
this
a
is
saga.
an all-timer.
This is all-timer, yeah. Because the chapters are great.
Yeah, they're super memorable. And I remember when Chapter 2 came out back in 2021, I think you and I were debating, like, is this on our top 10 for the year? Like, is it like, do we treat it as a full game? And I honestly just don't think Toby Fox gives a shit, you know? Like,
I think he cares about putting out a good product.
Oh, 100%. And he's found his audience, and he definitely cares about like making that for the, you know, the core of his audience that he found with Undertale, right? But just like all the other stuff of people thinking about like game of the year type of stuff and all of that, like I don't think he minds that stuff too much. I am similar to you, where it's like I'm gonna have to get to the point where every time a new chapter releases, it's gonna have to be like I need to watch a recap, because like it's been 2 years since Chapter 2 came out. Like, I don't fucking remember what happened on the second day of the week for this game, right? So, that's the whole premise, Greg.
No, I know. It's just a funny. It's a funny thing to say. I figured as well.
Yeah. So, I'm excited either way, and it sounds like maybe we're gonna get Chapters 3 and 4 possibly next year. So, I don't know.
Hold your breath.
It's a weird situation for sure. I like to think of it as like a book series at this point. You know,
Sure.
Like each entry, but it's telling a whole story. You know, I don't know.
I dropped number 7, so number 7 and 8. The PlayStation Pulse Explore wireless earbuds and Pulse Elite wireless headset gets release dates. This is Adam Bankhurst at IGN. Sony has revealed that PlayStation's Plus Explore wireless earbuds will be released on December 6, 2023, and that the Pulse Elite wireless headset will follow up on February 21st, 2024. They reveal the news, yada, yada, yada. You can pre-order on the direct.playstation.com and other retailers on November 9th. As a reminder, the wireless earbuds will be $199.99, and the wireless headset will cost $149.99.
Cool.
Yeah, but what the fuck happened? Because remember when I went and I previewed all these, and what we were told was, oh, well, when the PlayStation Portal, which of course doesn't have Bluetooth for some reason, works with the PlayStation Link system they've set up, right? That we will launch the Portal and the wireless earbuds day and date.
Oh, did they say
that? They said that. Yeah.
Oh.
And then PlayStation Portal, of course, drops November 15th. Can't fucking wait. And now we're getting December 6th for the earbuds. It's like, I wonder what went wrong.
They exploded in somebody's ear. Oh, God.
God damn it.
I can't hear it here.
When I use the PlayStation
it's my favorite
Portal.
one. I love my right ear. It's gone now.
Yeah. I know what happened. I'm sure some delay, part, whatever. But it's just like, that's interesting that they were so confident at the time of like, oh, no, this will be there ready to go. So now when you play your Portal, you have to use wired headphones, which I think will be interesting is it like, I don't think this is on purpose, but will it be that thing of like, I'm never going to pay $200 or even $149.99 for a new headset or new earbuds, right? And then you do a month of the PlayStation Portal with Tether. You're like, this fucking sucks. Also, I can't use my Bluetooth headphones on this fucking thing. What the shit? And then you get there and you buy it.
Yeah. $200 for wireless earbuds seems like a lot. I understand that's like probably standard.
How much are AirPod Pros or whatever?
Probably too much also. This is Apple.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I had the Sennheiser ones, and I like them.
Yeah, they're $200 at Best Buy. $200 right now. Well, $250 marked down.
We had to like get that price down because that should be the standard. Like I understand, like the wired earbuds exist, and that's what I use. Like I like my wired headphones. I
like my wired headphones.
I was wearing them on the way to the set because there it is. Yeah, I was listening to the new Drake.
Oh,
it's growing on me.
Okay, good.
I hated it.
Very exciting for you.
Now I love that album.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really like the day one listen to the new Drake album. Yeah. Terrible. 2 weeks later, my album of the year. It's crazy. It's crazy how he does that every single time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you had the same story a year ago for whatever last Drake.
The Certified Lover Boy, same thing. I hated that album day one. 2 weeks later, he has a song called Poppy's Home.
Yeah.
It's such a good song. It's like an incredible song. Art.
Do you listen to it every time you walk into your door?
Yeah.
Blessing, I can't wait to see what album you hate next that then you love and do all this stuff, but that album's so far away. If you wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grop shops on Halloween, where would you go?
You would go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Jusant. PlayStation 5, all the Xboxes and PC. Well, I guess next-gen Xboxes and PC. Silent Hill Ascension on PC. You will... Well, it's also on mobile, and we're doing the thing today at 4:30. You Will Die Here Tonight on PC. Headbangers Rhythm Royal on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. Little Goody Two Shoes on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch. The Foglands on PC, PS5, and MetaQuest. And then Nintendo has added 3 more games to its Nintendo Switch online service. Castlevania, Legends, Game Boy Color, Devil World NES, and the mysterious Murasame Castle on NES. Murasame Castle on NES. New dates for you. Roller Drome is coming November 28th to Xbox Series X and S, Windows PC, and with Xbox Game Pass. Deals of the day for you. We have the rundown of Game Pass upcoming. Of course, today you get Headbangers Rhythm Royale, Jusant, and War Tales. On the 2nd, November 2nd, Thirsty Suitors.
Booted that up last night.
Huh?
I booted up Thirsty Suitors last night.
You're embargoed. Be careful.
That's a good point.
Gotta stop you right on that. Have we already recorded a Gamecast review of Thirsty Suitors?
Usually we don't record them 2 days early.
Find out tomorrow. All right.
Oh, Thirsty Suitors. Oh, I thought that said something different. Oh man, I thought that said Robocop.
November 6th, Football Man. I mean, what? You didn't ruin anything. You did great. The Football Manager 24. November 9th, Dungeons 4, Like a Dragon, Gaiden, Wild Hearts. Oh, Wild Hearts. November 13th, Spirit Tea. And then November 14th, Coral Island. We asked people watching live. Well, there's a squad up here, I guess. Nuwaji's Eyes writes in and says he needs help in real life. You can find Nuwaji's Eyes on Twitter at new AJSEYES. Nuaje's Eyes says, "What's up, my fellow wrestling fans? This January in Box Park, Wembley, London, Hooked on Wrestling and Cultaholic are throwing a Royal Rumble watch party, and I'd love to go with some kind of funny best friends based in the UK. If this sounds like your thing, hit me up on Instagram at Nuaje's Eyes. Let's see if we can get a group together of kind of funny best friends to watch it." Well, that sounds great.
Hell yeah.
Royal Rumble in January. They're already planning it for it. I love this. Get ready if you're over in London, the good old UK. Oi, governor! The king himself might show up. You know what I mean?
The king himself.
Yeah. Prince Charles loves WWE here.
Jerry Lawler.
He watches this. We ask people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tells what we screw up as we screw it up. We have one. I'm looking to see if it's just a fucking joke. Yeah, it's a joke. We're not doing this. Nice try. This is what you do. You wasted your time. Not mine. Not mine. I made content out of it. You watched it. So the joke's on you. For coming in here and trying to make a joke about Max Payne movies starring Mark Wahlberg. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily. For Halloween, of course, we're going to do a very abridged post show here for about 13 minutes answering YouTube super chats. Then me and Mike are sitting down with Red Barrels to play Outlast Trials, have some fun and get scared, Mike. I'm going to get scared. He loves this game. He screams awfully. So make sure you watch that live on Twitch or YouTube or later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. And of course, remember, it's a spooky day on Halloween. So 4:30 p.m. Pacific, our live premiere pre-show for Silent Hill Ascension kicks off. Come watch that and then watch Silent Hill Ascension and participate in the streaming series as it is. Remember, Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday. Nerdy news you need to know about. Tomorrow it's Bless and Andy, especially because Andy's back, ladies and gentlemen. Andy lives. Woo! Thursday, it's me and it's Blessing and me. And then Friday, it's our special IGN crossover for Extra Life. Remember that? Do we have an IGN person on maybe the Gamescast we're doing tomorrow? Maybe about Thirsty Suitors? Find out.
I think you mean Robocop.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Andy, you test negative?
No. You test negative? Nah. Just kidding, man. I'm done with
Stay
it.
away. I got 3 days left to not be sick. Yeah, it looks cool.
So you can avoid a little more time with him.
Avoid. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. No, come through. Come through. Let me tell you.
I'll take Andy.
Let me tell you. Nerds hate Drake. As soon as I mentioned Drake,
I love
Pat's
Drake.
Like,
Oh yeah. I've learned, Blessing. You don't say Drake. You don't say AI. There's a lot of things you don't.
Mike,
say.
why are you talking about AI?
Why was that? Because I was the finals in AI. I thought it was an interesting story.
These kids love.
Oh, you like it?
Oh no! For what they wanted.
Mike
to,
loves AI.
jobs.
Confirms.
I want Andy to have a job, and we're going to talk about that right now on the post show because one of those kind of funny best friends wrote in about GTA 6 and the idea of NPCs using AI voices, and I said, you know what? Just hire me, Andy, and Bless. We'll be some AI. We'll be some NPCs in there.
I'd be down. Yeah.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Hey, get out the way.
Look, we know that Rockstar can't likely afford that many people, right?
Yeah,
like they haven't really had much going on.
Yeah.
They sold GTA 5 really well for 1 year, and then it just kind of died. They could never afford that many employees and part-timers and contractors.
Let's talk about it because we'll talk about that, but we should probably focus on you, Andy. Why don't you go walk out there, walk your little pretty butt out there and show off the
It's
outfit.
a fresh outfit.
Because like we can't start this post show
I need the
without
I need the
showing
lights
you
off, Bear. Can we get the lights off?
Get the lights off.
How do I get out of this
gonna get
shot?
this.
One second. Let me get out of my shot.
Oh shit!
Whoa.
Oh shit!
Oh my god. This is sick.
Good morning, Night City. Yesterday's bounty count was a nice and dirty 30.
Fuck it, 10 out of Hayward. Whatever the fuck he says. Anyway, that's about it.
Stand up Pacifica.
I got a cool fucking gun.
Whoa.
Made by Kinda Funny best friend. You see, you do cool work. Your shit gets tweeted at me, and I'm like, hey, I'll give you money to make one of those for me. 3D printed it, and dude also, did like a bunch of little
That's sick.
wear
as
and
hell,
stuff. Yeah, Militech.
Yeah, it feels like a sick
Pretty
block
fucking
of wood
sick,
to hit
dude.
somebody with.
Fuck yeah, dog. Shout out Les Scoot on Twitter.
Let's go.
Let's
What did
do
you
that.
say? Like,
Let's go. Did I ever tell you about the time when I pistol whipped Kelly Cole with an airsoft gun?
no.
Yeah, poor Kelly Cole had to
Who's
get it.
Kelly Cole?
Who's Kelly? Yeah, why do we?
Kelly Cole, a good friend of mine. Back in the day,
Wait.
Doesn't sound like it's a good friend.
we were in the preteens era when you get a hold of BB guns and airsoft guns and paintball guns, and you think that's like a really fun time shooting at each other, right? And then we were all playing, and Kelly Cole kept ganging up on me and shooting me too much with the airsoft gun, so I eventually broke, and I just pistol whipped him in the side of the neck with the airsoft gun.
Ah, okay.
Had to apologize for that one.
Damn.
Still love Kelly Cole, but I gave it to him.
Damn.
I gave him one.
I'm glad you
When you said
apologized.
Kelly Cole, I was thinking a girl. Like I thought.
Oh, okay.
Me
you
too,
thought-
me too.
Yeah.
No, that's
I
Kelly
thought this
G.
is where we're gonna
Kelly
find
G.
out it's the same Kelly of it's Kelly.
Kelly Cole had to take one.
I just imagine Mike like pistol whipping a blonde girl with an airsoft gun. I'm like, oh no, don't do that, Mike.
CJ Splits on. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Am I the only one struggling with Alan Wake 2 Combat? Might be the first game I put on story mode because I'm enjoying the story and mystery. I dropped to story mode last night.
Really?
Because I was just like, man, these dudes are like bullet sponges, man. Like, why are these dudes taking so many shots? I'm wasting so much ammo. And plus, I'm like just too scared to deal with it over and over again. Now I'm just one shot, headshot. It's like if I'm getting knocked out in 2 shots by a melee weapon,
Yeah.
they should,
Go
you're
down.
taking 2 shots to the head. You should be dead.
My advice: grow up.
Grow up,
get
become a
good.
gamer. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I'm still playing on normal, but I think the combat is kind of a struggle. Like you fuck up a little bit and they hit you twice, you're fucking done.
Yeah.
And then the checkpoint system is so bad. They send you so far back with those checkpoints.
And
They need to
it's
fix the quick saving.
slow to heal as well.
Yeah.
I'm
The combat's definitely not my favorite part of Alan Wake 2.
yeah, for sure.
McDee's Games writes in with a $5 or $10 super chat and says, "Happy Halloween. I really want a Callisto Protocol 2. Do you think it will happen? I know since
No.
Glenn left, we've heard nothing. He looked completely out of it on your guys' show, by the way. Costume on lock, Greg. Well, shout out to Greg's costume.
Well, you got to assume
don't
he
insult
looked
our
out of it
guests.
because he was exhausted after like just having to ship a game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought he had some good energy coming in. He was jazzed up about it. It was a big day for him and his team as they were getting ready for the launch.
Honestly, I remember
Yeah, I
because
thought this guy
you
had
were
some
also
good
here.
energy.
It was a lot of energy in this.
Yeah,
that
oh,
day.
me and that guy were viral. I was
Oh
like,
my
yo,
God,
and
yeah.
he was like this, and I was like, you're like a PE coach,
If
Glenn.
there's like a
We're
mod,
jazzed up.
if there's like a mod to change the dodging, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But man, I had trouble with I had just not a whole lot of fun with the dodging in that game.
So
Yeah,
you think
find one of those like fan fiction websites and like either write your own Callisto Protocol sequel or read other people's because you will never see a Callisto Protocol 2.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I wanted them to get a sequel and see where we could go to give more of that like space survival horror games in our life, because Dead Space, it's nice to have that back.
Yeah.
But like,
They're gonna make more
when's
Dead
the next-
Space.
Yeah, but like when's the next Dead Space, right? It'd be a nice compliment with that Callisto Protocol 2, and we just have more of it. Because remember that Troy Baker one, the walking
Solus?
sim? Yeah, that one didn't really go anywhere.
I mean, nothing happened with it, right? Like it kind of just came and went.
Yeah,
what it felt like.
somebody said it was 4 hours, which almost made me play it.
Yeah.
But then
Looked
I got
gorgeous.
Starfield.
Unreal 5 title.
And it had like
Real
the same
good.
exact font as Callisto Protocol.
Mm.
So you think no?
No, I don't think we'll see another.
I think there's
Callisto
a
Protocol.
0% chance you see Callisto.
Wow.
0%. Maybe lower than that if I could. get
McD?
lower.
I'm sorry. The two
Sorry,
boys have
McD.
spoken. Joshua D writes in with a $5 super chat and says, in my opinion, AI voices could be cool in GTA 6 for unpredictable NPC interactions. Possibly combine that with a ton of real recordings. Thoughts, Andy?
No.
You can do that with real people.
Yeah, you can have a like. I think at the end of the day, you're still going to feel the soullessness behind voice acting if it's just a robot doing it.
Yeah. And I'll also
So-
say, like, in GTA 5, right? Like, that was all, I assume, voiced by real people. And that was fine. Like, there's so many open world games that we get to have real voice actors, and they already work. I don't understand. I don't know what AI would fix. Like, if the idea is that you want way more dialogue, right? Like, I would have to see the scenario for a GTA 6 where you're pumping in that much more dialogue, and it makes a tangible and good difference in the game. And if so, like, could you not just do that with real people, right? Like a GTA, for example, if I compare it to like a Starfield, right? Like Starfield, I assume has more dialogue than any GTA in it, right? And like that's all recorded by real people. If you wanted to bump that up for GTA 6, just hire voice actors.
Yeah, I would see maybe like if you're going for the unpredictability aspect to try to have like these random lines being spoken, you would have to have I don't know. I think the like voice actors guild would have to have a very, very strong deal to be like, all right, you can manipulate the things that we say, training our voices with AI. I know that's like all very slippery.
But also
slope
the
type shit.
unpredictability wouldn't come from like like an AI performance that would come more from the script writing and then like code writing to change like certain things like that. Like again, it just seems like the AI doesn't even really solve anything there.
Yeah, like somebody in chat says like NPC voices for hundreds of NPCs. You already have that. Like if you look at like I get TikToks to this day of people posting just random conversations that GTA NPCs will have with each other, like just the most random shit of like, oh, I left the cheesecake under the fridge. It's like just the random shit that they say in that game. They already have that. Like I don't know how much more you really need, or like I don't know. I guess in what way AI would help that process. Like you can write more, sure, but more isn't always better. That's my main thing. Is like, I think what GTA 5 is already has a pretty good balance of that. And I'm sure GTA 6 will have more, but I don't think that's an AI thing. We need AI to help us do that. I think that is just, taking your time and writing, and obviously they've been taking their time and doing all that stuff.
And use that gigantic budget to just pay everybody possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Oral Sanchez has become a member for 10 months here on Kind of Funny Games YouTube channel. For the Max Payne remakes, do you think Remedy will keep the comic book panel cutscenes, or do you experiment with live action stuff to modernize it, Bliss?
Ooh, I didn't think about the live action aspect. I think as Remedy, you take some creative liberties. I talked about this. Chat, remind me, because we talked about this with Sam Lake on the show, where I asked him like, what is considered Remedy Extended Universe or whatever it's called, right? And like, I think he mentioned that like this game's owned by Rockstar aren't part of the Remedy Connected Universe. So if that's the case, I could see them just being like, hey, let's just remake Max Payne and make it look beautiful, make it play well. And if you're doing that, then maybe you don't do the comic book panels. But if you're trying to build it into that Remedy universe, for sure use live action, and for sure like you give it all those same like weird flourishes that you've seen in Control and Alan Wake 2, because I think that is part of what makes it feel connected.
Sean H. writes in with the $2 super chat, says, who will review the day before? And can it be Roger, Andy Cortez?
Sure. Yeah, we can let Roger do that for the game that doesn't exist.
Nitro with the $5 super chat.
That'll be the easiest review.
That game's going to be lit, though, if it becomes real. You know what I mean? Like,
Shut up,
yo,
Mike.
on the real, like, that shit could be lit, though.
It could be, Mike.
Redeem
That
your
shit
code.
Could be lit.
Yeah.
Redeem your code and your PC just spits out dust.
Nitro with the $5 super chat says, did Bless see the Nick All-Star 2 Brawl has a roguelite mode?
Huh.
Interesting.
Forgot about this video game.
You piqued my interest. I forgot that game was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Nick All-Star Brawl.
Could have already come out. I wouldn't have known it.
It could be out, and I would not know.
Yeah.
Roguelike. Huh. Interesting. All right, cool. I wonder if that's like going to be like Subspace Emissary or something.
Okay.
I would love a Subspace
Those modes
Emissary.
just never feel real to me. They just feel like, nah, this you don't got to bother with this.
Hey, thanks, Nitro, as well, for your first time ever super chat.
Ooh,
That's
thank you.
very nice of you. Only Special Features writes in with the $5 super chat and says, AKA that Mario Rivera, wanting to say happy Halloween. Also, Andy, you look amazing. And the Ghostbusters 2 outfit rules, Greg.
Thank you, Mario Rivera. Appreciate you, homie.
Yes.
Thank you
We're
so
happy
much.
that
Thank
you're
you,
back
homie.
in full health so we can show it off.
Nick All-Star Brawl 2 comes out in a week. November 7th.
A week.
Yeah.
No, that's
I forgot his first word. What does he say again?
good
morning, Night City. Yesterday's body count was a dirty 30. 10 coming from Hayward.
We got a lot of voice actors in the building. Hire these three jabronis, Barrett, Andy, and Bless, and let's just get them in some video games, chat. Why not?
All
Street
three of us starred together in a video game.
I would
kind
be
of funny.
so outshined. Like Barrett and Andy would laugh around me, and if you put us three.
No,
starring in
here's the
video games.
thing: we're all acting together, so then we're all going to be elevating to each other.
If you want, if you're gonna cast me as a voice actor, just know that you're getting me. Like you're getting my voice. I cannot emulate any other voice. I wish I could.
Heard you do a really good Obama.
Malia,
There it is. There it is.
the American people. That's
Straight
all.
Shadow writes in with the $10 super chat and says, on the topic of layoffs, do these layoffs at Bungie feel different than those of the Microsoft/XB earlier this year? MS/XB? I assume that's Microsoft and Xbox?
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier this year, I guess it feels like a stronger reaction from the public and games media.
There have been so many layoffs this year. I could not even tell you what the feeling was when the Microsoft. Like, do you remember those layoffs?
Nope.
Like that's my thing is like every week we're talking about layoffs, and I feel like every time the reaction is the same. So I don't know if that's coming from the place of like, oh, why do we react more to Bungie than to Microsoft, or like vice versa or whatever. But like, I don't know, man. This shit hits different for people. I don't know what to tell you.
And I guess my only thank you for the $10, but this also very much reads like, well, what about the Microsoft layoffs? Like it kind of sounds like I don't want to say that these PlayStation ones are as bad as the Xbox, but I am kind of trying to say like Xbox had some layoffs too, and you all didn't freak out about that. Like I think we all kind of always talk about the layoffs whenever they happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think we tried not to be numb to it, right? Like, I mean, I think the conversation we had today was really good, where we're talking about like what the fuck is up and all this stuff. But I've now worked at Kind of Funny for almost 4 years, which is insane to think about. And I've had so many games dailies where I've talked about layoffs to like, I used to come in nervous to talk about this stuff. Like I used to be like, oh shit, like people lost their jobs. Is it serious? Right. And that doesn't change. People lost their jobs and it's serious. But it's happened so much at this point where I come in and I'm like, all right, cool. Another day, another news day where I'm talking about people losing their jobs. Right. Like that is, you know, I think the reaction to it all should be the same. And it is the same of this fucking sucks and the industry needs to do better. But yeah, like if you ask me about an Xbox layoffs that happened at the top of the year, it is I could not even tell you like what that day was like in the office or like what the context was to bring it back there.
Andy, I can't read this one, so you're going to read it off the TV for me. But I think that's Dave B with the tier 1 sub for 25 months says, do y'all crank it to Mick Jagger blessing? But you can read the correct. What does it say?
This message is from Daxborn.
Ah, it's close, real close.
Not Dave B.
Close. Daxborn, that's a D and a B.
And Daxborn asks, do you all drink Jaeger?
I thought it said crank.
Y'all crank it to Mick Jagger. I was gonna have to be like, yo, we gotta get the bands out. Like, who do we have to ban today?
Ask, do you all drink? Yeah, where are your glasses? It's another.
I was gonna say, like,
what happened to the glasses, Mike?
Is your Halloween costume just somebody who doesn't see good again? Like, what? Do you all drink Jaeger? I had Jaeger over the weekend at a Halloween party, and it did not end well.
Hell yeah.
No, I haven't drinking Jaeger since my 21st birthday, and I'll never go back.
Nothing better than some Jaeger. Yep.
I'm a big Mick Jagger fan.
Love that. Love cranking it.
Love to Jaeger.
It.
Yeah, man. Wake up every morning feeling no.
Yeah, that's it.
But she says like P. Diddy. When does Mick Jagger enter that song? I love that song.
I don't know.
She deserved better.
But I will say, yeah.
Kesha?
Yeah.
Kesha, she's on tour.
I don't think you're wrong.
I was such a Kesha fan back in the day when she first came out. She's on tour right now?
Yeah.
She's back in the game?
Uh-huh. She's coming out to Reno. You can go see her soon.
Again, I wish her the best because like she got like screwed over on like a lot of shit.
Thank you so much for watching.
I was so upset when I was reading about Kesha because I was like, she does not deserve any of this shit.
Thanks so much for watching the Super Chat Post Show, gamers. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned because we got a little sponsored thing right now with Greg, Mike, and the devs from Outlast Trials. Let's get spooky, gamers. See you later.
I got moves like Jagger.